Hi, this is Tim Hamilton, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I'm here with a crab cake for your listening pleasure. What's a crab cake? Well, it's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. Make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Rudner. This is Tim Hamilton from the Maryland Crabs. How are you doing today?
I'm good. What's the Maryland Crabs? Am I on the radio? Am I on a television show? Am I on a phone? What am I on?
We are not that grand at all. It's
am I on a blog? Am I on a podcast?
Bingo, podcast. You got it right there. Look at you.
Podcast. I love podcasts.
8 guesses. It'll be great if you just go, podcasts suck, and you just hang up on me.
No, I love podcasts. We listen to podcasts all the time in the car, and they're our favorite thing. My husband listens to them in the bath, and he does that alone because we bathe separately.
Well, all right. Well, 25 years will do that. What's your favorite podcast?
Well, I like Pod Saves America.
Oh, I love that one. I listened to that today. That was
yes.
They're a little ticked off about Trump, by the way.
A little, just a tad. And we also listen to all of the English podcasts about soccer because my husband's English, so he's into the soccer thing all the time. And I also like the ones, I can't remember the name of it, but because we like the show called Below Deck, and there are two funny guys who talk about the episodes of Below Deck. And then I tried to do a podcast with my old friend Louis Anderson.
I love Louis.
Got that. Yeah, but then he got the show where he plays his mother, and he didn't want to do it anymore. And we did 3 episodes, and they were really funny. And then he had to go do a TV show, so we didn't do it anymore. But anyway, so I do love podcasts.
Well, he got a little bit of an award for that, too, anyway. Although he probably would have won an award with your podcast as well. So either way, he was going to win an award.
Exactly. We could have been in some Pod Emmy thing or some Pod Oscar. I could get a Poscar.
A Poscar, yeah.
Hey, let's do the show, the Poscar.
Right, so it's a Tony, an Emmy, a Grammy, and a Potscar.
A Poscar, yeah.
Exactly. So you have to rename the whole thing. Are you in California or are you still living in Vegas?
I live in Vegas, but in the summer I live in California, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, because living in Vegas in the summer is like living on the sun, pretty much, I imagine.
Exactly, yeah. One of my friends from England, our friends stayed with us, and they accused us of boiling his eyeballs.
Right. I got to admit to you, I am... it's a local podcast that we have right here. So we're here in Annapolis, Annapolis, Maryland, where you will be next week.
I am. I'm going to be with one of my favorite clubs.
Right, the Ram's Head, which is a great club. It's a great room. We get some good comedy here.
Isn't it fun? I love it there. Yeah.
And I got to admit, I am a little starstruck because I've always been a really big fan. So I do this show with a partner, and I got this email, and then I took the email so he wouldn't see it, so he wouldn't be part of this.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, and yet mean at the same time.
Yeah, it's like being married. So it's, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm in my late 40s now, although I look like I'm 10. And I'm just as charming. And so I hung around the comedy clubs during the comedy, just like when it was kind of going a little bit downhill, like in the early 90s, mid 90s, and here in DC and Baltimore. And I had that kind of chauvinistic view because I was too cool for everything at the time, that women weren't funny and that, men comedians were they were brilliant. And then I saw Born to Be Mild, which was that was what, 1990?
Oh, yeah, that 1991? Was my first specialist.
And it blew me away, I got to admit. And it changed my whole stupid chauvinistic attitude about that because there was, at the time, I mean, that was like the 80s and 90s. And you had, people like you and I guess, Lane Boozler and Kathy Ladman and Carol Leifer and Paula Poundstone. Judy Gold.
Yeah,
I love Judy Gold.
Yeah.
Paula Poundstone comes to the Ram's Head quite a bit. And
I know she does. And she's very popular. She does that. Another good, the podcast.
I haven't listened to hers.
PBS one.
Oh, she was on, but she was all the Louis and Paula were on Mark Maron's WTF, which I'm a big fan. He's the best interviewer in the business.
Oh yeah,
and it was fantastic because I love I love the comics. I love the comics who kind of came up before there was podcasts and everything because they had to do Letterman and
we've been doing it a whole long time, and you don't do it because you don't like to do it. You do it because you like to do it.
Do you get tired of being on the road though? Because you were in Vegas for what, 15 years?
Yeah, 13 years. And then in and out. Yes, because I wanted to raise my daughter, and that's the one place where you can kind of have a normal life, because I would go to work at 7 o'clock and come home at 10.
And then you went to Vegas for a normal life.
I did. I went to Vegas so I could be a mother and have a wife and still raise my kid. So that's what happened. And then Celine copied me, and then she did it too.
Well, yeah. Well, you were there. You were the longest comic in residence there, I think. You were 15 years, 13?
I was, but you know what I think? Because Carrot Top started after me, so maybe he exceeded my limit. I haven't counted, but Carrot Top's been there a long time.
Oh, yeah. He's a god out there,
isn't he?
My
old friend. Well, he does the Luxor, which was next door to where I started, New York, and he has a residence there, so maybe he's longer, but don't tell anybody. You can, because I like Carrot Top. It's okay.
There's very few comics I don't like. I mean, there's some I don't get, but it's not. I like them all for the most part.
You know what I like? I like people who do something. I don't, people who sit there and say nobody's any good and they don't do anything themselves. I just like people who get out there. You put yourselves out there and you try, and then I respect anyone who does that.
Well, to say you've been prolific, and like I said, I honestly am starstruck. 'Cause I remember watching comedy like A&E's Evening at the Improv. Remember that? That was in the late 80s, and everyone who was just absolutely huge was on that. And I was always just really a big fan of yours because you had that kind of cerebral take that was kind of like a little kind of Stephen Wright without that cerebral, and Mitch Hedberg. But it was just you had something that you said. You're talking about being married. You said it was great to find someone who you want to annoy for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, yes.
And I think that should be on.
And then you don't know how many napkins that's on, and people use it as on wedding glasses and wedding photos and everything like that.
Oh, I should have gotten that tattooed.
That little saying stuck around a long time.
Yeah, I want to get that tattooed on my back. It's pretty much.
Oh, good. That's good.
It should be on
love a tattoo.
Yeah, it should be on everyone's wedding license. But yeah, so there's been a lot of huge changes in comedy in the last few years because everyone's got the podcasts and they've got the specials on Netflix, and there's so much access now. It used to be you had to get Carson and Leno, and you did all the big ones. Yeah,
I did a lot, and it was I always felt fortunate when I got on any of those shows because it's always tricky. I've just done another special called Rita Rudner, Tale of Two Dresses, because I couldn't decide what dress to wear, so I switched in the middle, and that's coming out September 4th.
Is that going to be Netflix?
It's on something called, I just had a big phone conference with the PR people, and they haven't told me how to say it yet. They said it's on demand on iTunes and Google.
Oh, gotcha.
And something else, but they didn't write it to me yet, so I can't tell it to you. But anyway, it's going to be on demand on iTunes, Google, and something else.
Do you think because it used to be that you'd work for a year and a half to get an hour and get a special out there, and it was a big deal when you did that. But do you think it's a little too easy now to have a special? And I'm not denigrating any comics who are out there, but No,
it's never easy. I don't think so. I think everybody prepares for everything for a long time, and then they think they're lucky when they get it. So, I don't watch many comedy specials these days because I like other things, and it's
podcasts.
It's like when people do podcasts, you don't sit home, oh, whose podcast can I listen to now? You kind of want to break from it. So I watch a lot of sports. In fact, I'm right between Wimbledon and the World Cup at the moment because, my husband's English, so he's in the World Cup, and I love tennis, so I have to watch Wimbledon. And that's pretty much how we're spending our days until we have to go to New York tomorrow, and then I'm playing New York for a couple days.
Oh, where are you in New York?
I'm at 54 below, or it's below 54. I never know which one, so every other time I say it differently.
It's a little warm here on the East Coast right now, so you might want to pack something light.
Yeah, that's okay, because I've just been to Hawaii. I was doing my show in Hawaii last week, so I still have that suitcase packed with all of my sleeveless dresses.
Well, you're going to have to decide which dress, though.
Pardon?
You're going to have to decide which dress, though.
Oh, yeah, my Tale of Two Dresses.
Yeah.
I just was distracted because I'm looking out and I just saw a beautiful butterfly, and it's flying around my plant. Okay, but
that's like you Hollywood types. You're just so unrelatable, and you're just in your own world. It's just butterflies flying by.
It was a really pretty orange butterfly, and I'm just watching its journey. Sometimes you got to watch a butterfly.
So you don't tour as much as you used to. So you just a little bit?
No, I do different things. I'm doing a play that I wrote with my husband, Martin Bergman. We're doing that, and we're trying it out in a little theater. And then I'm writing my autobiography, and it's taking a long time because all of a sudden, I said, now I'm doing a play. And then...
So you got halfway through the autobiography, and you just got bored and said, all right, let me do something else for a while.
No, I just things come up, and I just have to do something else. And now I'm traveling in the summer. I always travel with my husband and my daughter, and she is going to be actually performing at the Ram's Head. She's a singer-songwriter, and she just turned 16, and I told her I was working when I was 16. Get to work. So she's going to be singing 2 songs, I think, and she's on my special too at the end of my special. So I'm a little bit nepotistic. That's not a word, is it? But you know what it means. I think I just invented a word.
Nepotistic's right.
I liked when she's performs with me because I know where she is, and she's 16, and when she's not with me, I don't know where she is. So as much as she can. Oh dear. I don't know what that. I told you I'm having drywall fixed in the basement. Did I tell you that? No.
Well, just cough if you're in trouble. Yeah.
Oh gosh, so that's what that noise is. It's not anyone having indigestion. Can you hear it?
Just sliding.
Okay. Well, we had a leak in our fire sprinkler, and now we're having the drywall fixed. Life doesn't get much better.
So your daughter's 16, and she tours with you, and she sings? Yeah,
she just turned 16. Yeah.
I can't get my daughter. My daughter's 14, and I can't get her to clean her room. We just before we got on the phone right now.
I can't get her to clean her room.
I just had a battle about that.
No, that's a non-starter. But she does sing. So she's only in the summer. In the other she's got to go to school because I didn't go and she has to go. So, but in the summer, that's why I went to Hawaii because I only go places where she wants to come with me. So she wants to come to New York. Oh my gosh, there it is again, the drywall.
Barely hear it.
She wants to come to New York, and she wanted to go to Hawaii, and those are the 2 places my husband will come to. My dog, no. My dog is staying with Aunt Linda.
So I love Aunt Linda. So she doesn't mind traveling with you? I mean, my daughter, I got to pick her up from across the parking lot if we go to the store together because she doesn't want to be seen with me.
We don't give her a choice. The problem is, you have to not give them a choice. When she's here, we hardly see her, when we're in the same house. So I really like it when we're all together and we travel in the summer together, and then I get to tell her to read a book.
I got a daughter who's 14, and then a son who's 13, and their hobby is just throttling each other. That's where
the phone has ruined everybody's life.
It has really, and I'm a big tech guy.
I know. I said Steve Jobs ruined the world, and then he died. I say we dig him up and we tell him what he did. So
what I always said for the phone, and here's the trouble with it, is that if I ask you, what should I? My daughter's 14. When should I think about a car? Should it be a new car? What do you think? And you could offer some suggestions. You can say, well, when I was a kid, this is what happened, or this is what my friends do. But if I ask you how much time should the kids spend on the phone, you can't tell me because no one knows. It's only been around for like 5 or 6 years for the kids.
I know. All I know is her phone has to be out of the room by 10 o'clock.
Yeah. We tried. Yeah. Well, we do that. They're not allowed to use a phone in the car when we drive around around Annapolis.
No, because my daughter's going to take her driver's test when we get back from New York. Oh my God.
But
I hope she'll fail. I've told her all the wrong things to do, so maybe she'll fail.
Just don't use your turn signal because it's a sign of weakness. Just get right in there.
No, exactly. I love that.
Right.
No turn signals. Don't tell anyone. I'll constantly honk.
Yeah, have a beer. That's exactly what you want to do to have that control. But yeah,
that's exactly. That's a good thing to do. Actually, I was just on the road with her, telling her the right things to do yesterday, and I should have been saying no. What you'd want to do is you wanted to run into the other car.
So, what's your play about?
My play is about two strangers who have to spend the weekend in a hotel room together, and they're both going through traumatic times in their lives.
It's like character study.
And they're strangers, and it's a sold out weekend, and they both refuse to move.
It's a drama.
Yes, it's a musical. I'm singing. I haven't sung since I stopped doing Broadway, but I'm singing. And it's called Two's a Crowd. Because
that's where you started, in singing and dancing, right?
I started singing and dancing, and I haven't done it in a long time, but I'm going to do it again.
So you're from Miami, yes?
Yes, I'm going full circle.
That's okay.
I tried half a circle, it didn't work. I want to go all the way around.
Right, so then up to New York, where you were on Broadway, and you were a singer and dancer, and then you broke into comedy.
Yes.
You seem like you have self-esteem, and you like yourself, but you got into comedy anyway.
I know, yeah. My husband says I might be the only normal comedian in existence. But
Brian Regan, maybe.
I'm insecure, and I know that there are a lot of things wrong with me, and I decided to dwell on them.
Yeah, that's what. Well, yeah. I mean, why sit there?
That's what you have to do in comedy. Figure out what's wrong with you and dwell on them. And then there are two styles of comedy. Basically, either you say what's wrong with yourself or you say what's wrong with other people. So I decided to say what was wrong with myself.
There's you said you don't watch a lot of specials, but do you follow comedy lately? Any newer comics? Maria Bamford, who is, she's just phenomenal, because she struggled with some mental health issues, and I think she did her last special was just her and her parents. She did the special.
Oh my gosh, that sounds interesting.
It was awesome. She's phenomenal, but she dwells on a lot of that, like looking inward, and it is so funny. She is so brilliant.
Tell me her name again.
Maria Bamford. She's
okay.
Yeah, she's probably
okay. I will see. But again, we watch a lot of English dramas and mysteries and sports.
Now, do you watch soccer just for your marriage, or do you really like it?
Marriage.
Yeah, I can't. I tried last year or 2 years ago with the World Cup.
And it's only exciting to me when England plays. Like he was downstairs with Belgium and I don't know, somebody else, and I lost interest. But tomorrow is England and somebody, I don't know who, Switzerland maybe.
Now, is it different than?
I don't know.
So is it like, this is where I'm horrible. I like football and basketball. I don't get soccer. So is it like Manchester but England has its own team and then they're playing other countries?
No, these are the countries, and then they put all the people who are from those countries in different teams, and then they kick the ball around.
Wouldn't it just be easier to get divorced? That seems like a lot to watch soccer.
I think soccer would be a lot easier if they'd use their hands, because
it just seems very inefficient.
It's so limiting.
Right.
And there's a ball there. It's so tempting. You don't go to horse racing with no horse. So I think they should expand the rules. But again, when England's playing, I get all excited because Martin, my husband, wants England to win so badly that it's contagious.
And tennis, that's very English, but then that's also very New York.
I've been playing tennis for a long time. I did tennis before him, so I just like it. I just do it because I like it.
I know my father's from Forest Hills, so we were into it when we were kids. And then I read Arthur Ashe's autobiography, which was just amazing. And
I love Arthur Ashe.
He's just such a gentleman and all that. I just really loved him, and that kind of got me into tennis somewhat.
Yeah. Well, I started playing tennis for a very good reason. I was dating this guy for a long time, and
Bjorn Borg.
No. And when we broke up, while we were dating, we found out something weird about each other. Our apartments in New York looked into each other's apartment. We both lived in high rises. Uh-huh. So when we broke up, I found myself looking across into the window all the time, and I said, I got to get out of the house. And I started playing tennis. I started going to a tennis clinic at night.
Or you could have gotten curtains.
Yeah, well, I did have curtains. I'd look through that didn't work.
Oh, you couldn't stop yourself.
And I'd look out the window. I said, I got to stop looking out the window.
Like Edna Kravitz.
So I started playing tennis, and that was really good. So I always try to figure out how I can stop doing something that's wrong, and that's how I started playing tennis.
See, you channel things into productive activities. I just don't do that.
I try. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I try to use the things that are wrong and to try to make them right.
I quit smoking like 15, 20 years ago. I'm like, why don't I just eat tons of sugar instead? And that's how I handle things.
Okay, well, there you go. That's a choice.
Well, yeah, but playing tennis would probably have been a better choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, not for me, because I started dating this guy who was a tennis pro who ended up being shot by the police.
Oh, my God.
I got into a lot of bad relationships.
I guess. Like, what did you do?
It was a long time ago, and I don't want to get into it.
All right. I'm not recording. You can tell me now. But
it's a
I'm
true
kidding.
Story,
I am recording.
No, it's a true story. He was later shot by the police.
Oh, that's well, okay.
I don't know what happened.
I don't even want to joke about it.
Like 20 years later, and I read a story about it. And, oh my gosh, how did this happen? But I escaped.
So you're coming to Annapolis in a weekend. Have you ever been out here?
Twice.
Oh, yeah. You said you've worked the room before. So are you staying?
Yes, I liked it both times. That's why I'm coming. But when I'm in the East Coast, like I started working in New York. And this summer, because I have loads of friends in New York, and I like to see them in the summer. And then I said, well, I'm there, so let's do some shows. And then I'm on the East Coast, so I'm doing a show in New Jersey and New York, and then I'm in Annapolis, and then we might show our daughter Washington, D.C. a little bit, and then she'll get bored, and then she'll want to be with her friends and look at her phone, and we'll take her home. And then she goes back to school. No, then she's going to music camp.
Yeah, I mean, D.C.'s only a half hour away. I mean, it's been like 200 degrees, 300 degrees for the last few weeks.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'll show her D.C. 200 degrees. She'll like it.
But you guys are going to love Annapolis. She'll love Annapolis. We're a little town. We're a cute little town.
I like it there. It's cute.
We're very colonial. We walk around.
I mean, you've had the big tragedy there, and that's terrible, though. And I feel bad for all those people.
Yeah, we're a small town, so that hit us pretty hard because everyone knew the reporters.
And it's just unbearable what's going on. But that's why in my act I don't talk about that. I talk about love and life and being married and having children and not understanding technology.
You don't believe in comedy from tragedy.
I do, but I stay away from politics because it's too disturbing at this point. And I know that not everyone has to think what I think, but I do know I'm right.
Well, yeah, and I think, not to get heavy, but so we knew the reporters who were shot because, again, it's a small town, and we actually had a fundraiser the other night. And we had a couple of the reporters on our podcast who talked about it a little bit, and we didn't want to get too much into it. But they did tell us that they were getting some nasty emails from people that just kind of saying, good. And it was just, they said, we try and look at all the good people who have been supporting us and everything, but it makes me sad that we've come that way as a country. It really does.
That's what I just don't, it's become so uncivil. I hope at some point it gets back to place where we can all have discussions.
Well, I know where we can have discussion. We can have discussion at Ramshead on stage.
We had a discussion. We're going to do it for America. We're podcasting for America.
So if you don't get a new podcasting partner with Louie, I'll do it with you because my partner doesn't find me funny at all. And plus, I like Vegas.
That's not right.
No, that's what I tell him too. But Rita, you're going to be at the Ramshead on stage on July 15th. It's a Sunday for 2 shows. That's at 5 and 8 p.m., right?
Whatever you say is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. And so if you need tickets...
I wasn't going to do that, but now that you said it, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just calling to chat. And if you happen to mention that you were on stage at Ramshead, then that would be fine, too.
It's fine. Whatever is good. I'm good.
You made me feel better. You're actually very laid back, and I feel a lot better.
That'll be $60 for the half hour.
I will give you my Blue Cross card, and we will settle up with the copay later.
Oh gosh, a copay! I hate a copay. Yes, okay, but if we must.
But Rita, I want to thank you for coming on. You've been fantastic. You've been a delight, and I can't wait to see you because, in all honesty, you are one of my favorites, and you changed my view on comedy. And I am not starstruck anymore, but I will be when I meet you when you come in a couple weeks.
Well, thank you very much. Come back and say hi.
All right, Rita. Hey, great talking to you.
Thank you. Bye.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.